Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going full throttle into the secrets behind the most jaw-dropping moments in action cinema. You know that feeling when you're sitting in a dark theater, practically gripping the armrests while a building collapses or a car goes flying across the screen, and you're just thinking, no way, how on earth did they actually pull that off? Well, you are in the exact right place. We are going to decode the whole anatomy of modern cinematic spectacle, breaking down the exact techniques filmmakers use to completely blow our minds. It really all boils down to one massive question. How do filmmakers fake reality? Think about it for a second. How do these giant screen-shaking explosions or terrifying helicopter crashes feel so incredibly real to our brains? It's honestly the ultimate magic trick. It's an insane blend of physics, heavy engineering, and absolutely obsessive safety protocols. Logically, our minds know it's just a movie, right? But our pulses quicken anyway. So, let's pull back the curtain and see exactly how they craft that illusion. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the magic of hybrid filmmaking, then look at the physics of movie explosions, capturing authentic helicopter action, engineering epic car chases, and finally, supporting tech and the future. All right, starting off with Section 1, the magic of hybrid filmmaking. You know, there's a huge misconception out there that modern blockbusters are either just all CGI or entirely practical with zero digital help. But as the hybrid methodology outlined, the industry standard today is actually a perfect fusion of both. Filmmakers capture in-camera practical effects, meaning real pyrotechnics, real stunt drivers, real vehicles, and then they enhance and extend all of that using incredibly sophisticated digital visual effects. Directors are constantly chasing this sweet spot. Why? Because capturing something for real gives you an irreplaceable foundation. You get real physics, real lighting, and authentic actor reactions that you just can't fake. Then, the digital tools swoop in to handle the stuff that's impossible, super dangerous, or just way too expensive. It delivers that visceral authenticity while keeping everyone on set perfectly safe. To really appreciate where we're at, we kind of need to see how we got here. Back in the early 1900s, it was all about miniature models, matte paintings, and carefully staged smaller pyrotechnics. Then, boom, the 1990s hit and changed the game entirely. Films like Jurassic Park introduced us to CGI, proving that digital creations could actually look completely lifelike. Fast forward to the 2020s, and we've landed on this modern hybrid methodology. The physical and digital worlds have completely merged to give us the massive photorealistic spectacles we enjoy today. Moving right along to Section 2, the physics of movie explosions.
So, when you're blowing things up on screen, there are essentially two sides to the destruction coin. On one hand, you've got practical pyrotechnics. We're talking black powder, gasoline, controlled charges right there on set. The massive payoff here is that you get authentic shockwaves. The air and debris physically move around the actors, and they can react in real time to genuine heat and light. It is super grounded. But on the flip side, we have CGI and physics simulations. When an explosion is just too big or too dangerous, visual effects artists step in. They use intense 3D software like Houdini to create these complex fluid dynamics and particle systems, and then compositing software like Nuke to seamlessly blend that digital fire into the live-action footage. It basically gives directors limitless scale and complete safety.
Now, the real magic happens when you mash these two approaches together. Look at some of these legendary hybrid explosions. Christopher Nolan is absolutely famous for this. Remember The Dark Knight? That hospital demolition was a single-take practical detonation. The raw, heavy physicality of real concrete collapsing in actual sunlight. Digital versions just struggle to capture that perfectly. Nolan pushed it even further in Oppenheimer with an in-camera Trinity test using massive pyrotechnics and forced perspective. Then, of course, you've got George Miller's Mad Max Fury Road. They went out and filmed gigantic, real fireballs in the harsh Namibian desert. After that, VFX artists layered in extra digital dust to extend the blast radius. You get the actual physical camera shake from a real blast dialed up to 11 with digital artistry. It's just brilliant.
Shifting gears a bit to Section 3, capturing authentic helicopter action.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because pulling off a safe, believable helicopter sequence is a whole different beast. It follows a very meticulous workflow. Step 1 is always trying to film a practical aircraft, or, if that's too sketchy, using massive crane and gimbal rigs for the actors to sit in safely. Step 2 involves photogrammetry. This is wild. Crews literally 3D scan the real aircraft to build pixel-perfect digital doubles. And finally, Step 3 is where CGI steps up. Artists digitally simulate all those crazy rotor physics, the aerodynamic distortion, and that huge dust wash the blades kick up. Plus, any actual helicopter destruction, yeah, that's all handled digitally so nobody gets a scratch. A literal masterclass in This Is Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down. They actually used real UH-60 Blackhawks for the exterior shots, but for those super intense interiors where flying was just too dangerous for the performers, they built a custom gimbal system and mounted it on a 160-ton crane. Imagine that, and let them safely simulate these complex flight movements right on the ground. It gives the whole movie this terrifying, documentary-like urgency. And we saw this exact ethos leveled up recently with Top Gun Maverick, where they mounted high-res cameras inside actual fighter jets to capture real face-melting G-forces on the cast. Which brings us to Section 4, Engineering Epic Car Chases.
Creating an unforgettable vehicle action sequence is this crazy dance between hardcore mechanical engineering and digital cleanup. Now, what's really interesting about this number is the scale. 150. That is the staggering amount of unique, heavily modified vehicles built from scratch or totally customized by production designer Colin Gibson and his team for Mad Max Fury Road. And get this, they didn't just build one of each. They had to build multiples so that when one was destroyed in a real practical crash, they could literally just swap in a fresh one and keep the cameras rolling.
If you compare how modern franchises handle vehicle action, you really see how varied the hybrid approach can be. Mad Max Fury Road gives us this visceral, incredibly dangerous vibe through actual desert crashes, where VFX is mostly just painting out safety cables and tire tracks. Then, take John Wick. It focuses on tight urban driving, with Keanu Reeves actually doing a ton of the driving stunts himself. It feels super grounded and physical. And then there's Fast and Furious. They started with practical street racing roots, but have totally evolved into physics-defying CGI mega stunts. I mean, jumping cars between skyscrapers. But even they still ground their biggest moments in practical vehicle photography, because at the end of the day, that tangible, physical foundation is exactly what our brains respond to.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Supporting Tech and the Future.
We literally couldn't have any of this spectacle without some major unsung heroes behind the scenes. Sound design, for instance, is absolutely crucial. A massive digital explosion feels totally weightless without the deep, concussive sound recorded from a real blast, or the perfect layered whump-whump of a helicopter rotor. Then there's camera tech, IMAX cameras capturing unimaginable scale, custom drones zipping through tiny gaps, and high-speed stabilization systems. But the absolute most important element? The human teams, the stunt coordinators, the previs artists mapping out every single frame, the VFX supervisors right there on set. The true magic of Hollywood is this immense human collaboration, from day one of pre-production right up to final delivery. Which brings us to this wonderful summarizing thought. The most memorable action sequences succeed because they respect both the laws of physics and the power of cinematic illusion. I absolutely love that. It totally hits the nail on the head. Subconsciously, as an audience, we crave the gritty authenticity of the real world, the dust, the light, the gravity, but we also desperately want to be transported by digital magic. The filmmakers who blend fire, steel, and pixels with the most care, those are the ones who truly push the boundaries of what a movie can make us feel.
I really hope this breakdown totally changes the way you watch your next big blockbuster. But it does leave us with one final pretty wild question. As AI and digital tools get better and better, will there come a day when we literally cannot tell the difference between a practical stunt and a purely digital illusion? To explore that question and to dive deeper into the magic of technology, for more, visit our website, Vera Solution. Keep learning, keep asking how things work, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.